Hey y'all, my Riacom here again. I appreciate you being here to listen to me ramble about stuff. So, as I was on my way home from work today, I was thinking about the fact that I should probably try and be a little bit more involved with community somehow. I should try and. Because part of these recordings started off as like just me trying to get used to the sound of my own recorded voice. Because I am using that more at work. It has actually died down some now, so that's good. But because realistically, I am not supposed to. Yeah, that's just not a thing. It is not part of my job description technically, but I have been in recordings and stuff, and that's just a thing. So I was trying to get used to that. There were also a couple other reasons. Go back to my very first recording if you want to know why. But that was like the main reason. It was like it was just trying to get used to the sound of my own voice, and just recording myself to listen to myself felt really weird. So I was like, okay, I'll just upload these to YouTube as well, and maybe other people will be interested in this. I don't know. And the longer I've been doing this, the more I've been exploring personal stuff, kind of using it as like talk therapy without actually having a therapist and that sort of thing. And I've kind of realized that part of me wants to find community here, even if it is just like, hey, someone resonated with this and liked a video or liked a recording. I can't really call them videos. Like, and I was just kind of wondering why that actually mattered to me, because I am not the kind of person who, like, wants to be famous. I am not the kind of person who wants anything, really, from other people, besides the fact that, like, every human being wants companionship and to be around other people and that sort of thing. But, like, I'm not doing this to try and get famous. But I don't want to stop doing it either. And I was just trying to, like, work that out. And so while I was trying to work that out, I was, like, just thinking about the fact that I really have not felt like I fit in, quote unquote, for most of my life. And I've probably talked about this in other recordings, but maybe not, like, as in-depth, I guess. And what I mean by this is, like, I have mentioned before that I was bullied starting in kindergarten by a popular kid at a small private school, private religious school even. So, like, starting in kindergarten, I had no friends because a popular kid said I was lame or whatever, you know. A popular kid said I wasn't cool, so I had no friends. And that, if you know anything about how small schools and small class sizes work, that pretty much means I had no friends all throughout elementary school. I did, like, hang out with the boys in my class and stuff, but I would not call them friends in terms of, like, being close. We just hung out. Like, I hung out with them at recess. And it wasn't even all the time. I sometimes played, like, soccer or touch football or whatever with them. But it's not like I knew anything about any of them. That's just a thing we did. And I couldn't really tell you a whole lot about any of them, like, to this day. I don't remember much about them because we weren't friends. We just spent recess together. So, yeah. So, never really fit in any aspect at, in elementary school. I did things with people and like I was in extracurricular activities, but I'd never really fit in. And this isn't just me being hyperbolic. This is like nothing like that. Like in basketball, I think I was in basketball like pretty much all throughout elementary school, and at our last game in our last elementary school year, that is the first time I actually made a basket. Even on my team, like no one ever tossed me the ball to try and take a shot or anything like that. It was not you know what I mean? Like from like 3rd through 6th grade or whenever the heck we started basketball, it was like, no, I'm not, I'm never gonna. I was not important and all of that. Like, people didn't really focus on me. I did not really fit in. I was a part of the team, but I didn't really fit in. It's sort of hard to explain. And then, like, in middle school, I went to my first year of middle school at the public school, and while I did have a couple of friends there, I wouldn't say I fit in, really. Like, even when I had friends, and even when I was part of a group of some kind. For example, I was in band starting in 6th grade onward, and I was always part of at least one band in school, sometimes multiple bands. Like in high school, I was part of a bunch of different bands. What I mean by that is like concert band and jazz band and pep band and marching band. That's what I mean by a bunch of different bands. I wasn't cool. But even when I was like part of band or part of jazz band or whatever, I still like wasn't friends with people. We worked together, if that's what you want to call it, because we were in a band together, being part of an ensemble. But I wasn't friends with people, really. Again, it's sort of hard to explain, because since that is what my experience was, I don't really know what other people's experience is in those kinds of ways. I assume people feel a little bit more connected to other people than I usually do. I make that assumption, but I could be totally wrong. Maybe I'm putting a lot more weight on what friendship is supposed to be. Maybe I'm just misunderstanding what it is supposed to be. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what belonging is. But I don't know. And then anytime I would, like, go to an event or go somewhere, be a part of something where it was like, okay, here I am involved in this thing. I am with this group. I am at an event where theoretically everyone else is like-minded or is interested in the same things that drew them to this event or whatever. I never really felt like I belonged. When I got to college, I definitely did not belong my first 2 years when I went to a private college. Definitely never felt like I belonged there. Which is why I transferred to a public college, a state college, and I felt a little bit more like I belonged, but I still always kind of felt like an outsider. I still always felt like, I don't know if it's just like chronic imposter syndrome or something, but I just like still always felt like no one really cared if I was there, and no one would have missed me if I wasn't. I don't know if that makes any sense to anybody else. And it's not like in a sense of, oh, I should be more important to people. That's not what I'm saying. It's like, I don't know. A sense that, like, if I wouldn't, like, I was part of, a club in college called the Gaming Guild, where we would play board games on a weekly basis. Weekly? I think it was weekly. I don't know. And, if I missed 1 week, I don't think anyone would have been like, "Oh, where's Myri? Where's Myri Akam? I wonder where they are." I don't think anyone would have cared. I think they would have just been like, "Oh, they would have just gone on with their day." Maybe I'm wrong, but that is my assumption. And I don't know. I feel like now at like work, for example, people would notice if I'm not there, but that's because I am a peon, and in my current job, like, I am the only peon in my position, so if I wasn't there, people would notice simply because they have no one to ask to do things for them. It's not necessarily that anyone would care. It's not that I belong necessarily. I definitely don't feel like I belong at work, because most people who are in both of my departments at work are they come from rural backgrounds, and or they currently live in rural backgrounds, or like they just have so much more connection to that side of things than I do, and I have been a city person my whole life, and like, yeah, I spent summers on my aunt and uncle's farm for a while, and it wasn't even like all summer. I had one summer where I spent the whole summer there, and that was it. And like, yeah, I do not feel like I belong in my current place. And there's also like the idea that because I feel like I don't belong now in my current job, it feels like I can't move up because I am not part of that world. I am not part of that community. So how am I going to move up if I don't have the ties that everyone else has to that community? And I feel I've been trying to like get involved with other communities over the past year, basically. That's something I've really been trying harder to do now. And I consistently feel like, okay, I tried, but I do not feel like I belong here. Like, here I am at the Pride Network, which is the faculty and staff queer group on campus. But pretty much every time, I'm just like, man, I just do not feel like I belong. I do not feel like I am a part of the... A lot of the people who are there were there before, and I'm not saying that they're not welcoming. That is not at all what I am saying, but I do not feel like I belong with them. They're already there and already talking and already have connections to each other, and I just feel like an interloper a lot of the time. And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. But that is the feeling I have anytime I try and join any kind of group or any kind of community. I think there was like one time where I didn't feel like that, and that was there was an online community I was a part of when I was younger. I don't remember what the original name of it was. I can't remember if this was the original name of it or not, but it was a fan group for Justice League, the Justice League animated show, and what I remember it being called was JLA Animated. It might have just been JL Animated. I can't remember. But we did fan art, we did fan fiction, we did role-playing games, we did all kinds of crazy stuff on there. And I felt like I belonged there. To an extent. Like, I felt like I had my niche there, and I felt like people generally liked each other there and were generally nice. I remember, like, we did awards and stuff for various fan works and stuff like that. Man, the internet was so cool in the past. But yeah, I think that's like the only time I've ever really felt like I belonged somewhere. And then it died. So, that was great. Maybe in my cohort in my master's program too. We weren't all exactly the same, of course, but we were all interested in studying popular culture on a deeper level, and I think that was pretty cool. And we all kind of felt like we belonged. We grew apart really quick after we graduated, but yeah, at the time I felt like I belonged there, which was wild because I didn't ever, like, when I first started, I did not feel like I belonged at all. But as we went on, I was like, yeah, we all belong together. We are, even the one outlier of our group who kind of was weird, and by weird, I mean, like, she just seemed out of touch with reality of, like, how most people are, because she came from a much more affluent background from the rest of us. And she did not, and she just felt, there were things she would say where it was like, you do not understand real life. You just understand rich person life. That's wild. um, but anyway, like, I would even say that I felt like I belonged with her by the end of our thing, by the time we all graduated. And that was only a couple of years that we were all in the same classes and stuff together, so that was kind of wild. But I think those were like the 2 times in my life where I actually felt like I belonged somewhere. And it's been hard to, like, reclaim that and find that again. And I think maybe that's part of why all of the family stuff that's been going on has been so hard. So just in case you haven't, like, listened to any of my other recordings, I have gone no contact with my parents, and it's been tough. And they are not good at understanding it. My dad, I don't think, cares. Or if he does, he doesn't show it, like, at all. And he has not been trying to contact me at all. I don't think we had that close of a relationship to begin with, so that's whatever. My mom has consistently been trying to contact me, and I am... every time it just makes me a little angrier, if I'm honest, so... I don't know how to stop her from doing it other than being a real jerk, though, and I don't really want to be a jerk. But yeah, I think part of why that has been so hard, I mean, there are a lot of reasons, but I think one of the reasons that I haven't thought about prior to thinking about all of this is that family felt like the one place I truly, really belonged when I was growing up, until I started feeling like I didn't, because I realized I was different from other people in my family, and I realized that, like, I didn't fit with what my parents wanted me to be. I didn't fit with like, when I realized I was queer, I was like, oh, I actually don't belong here. Wow. But, I grew up thinking family is the one place you really belong. Family is the one place where you will always belong. And now I don't feel like that. And now I feel like I don't know if I ever belonged in my family, but, it's just interesting. There is one other place, or I guess 2 technically, but I don't always feel like I belong when I'm around my sister. I want to, I just don't always, and I don't think it's intentional on her part. I think she just, like, is very stressed and focused on other things a lot, so she doesn't always engage in the most, like, interpersonal way. There are times I feel like I belong with her and my brother-in-law, but there are times I also don't. And then I have one friend who I'm pretty sure I could tell that friend pretty much anything in life. And although I think she would try and dissuade me from some things, and I know she has, and she has tried to persuade me to do things I don't want to do. Um, but she is pulling back on that a lot more lately. Um, I do feel like she is like the one of the few places that I belong now. Like, is she's kind of like a piece of found family now. But yeah, I just all of this is to come back to saying I was thinking about why I am continuing to post recordings when they aren't really getting, like, no one is really, I shouldn't say no one, it seems like not a lot of people are paying attention, and like over time my recordings are getting like some views. I'm not going to say a lot. I don't think any of them really have like an amazing amount of views or anything, but I know I'm never going to be famous off of any of this. I know that because I know that I am not a very charismatic person. And I just know that that's like never, it's just not ever going to be a thing. It would be nice if I could like somehow find a way to connect with people through these recordings or something. I don't know. But I also acknowledge that that's probably not realistically going to happen at any point. And nor would I necessarily want like parasocial relationships with anyone listening. Because I don't really believe in that sort of thing. I'm never gonna like sit here and say anything super like, oh, I love you, because I don't know you, so I can't love you. I can care about you because you are another human being. And I think pretty much all human beings have value. And, like, all human beings deserve to exist and deserve to be happy. So I can care about you on that level, but I have very strict definitions of things. And I cannot say I love someone that I do not know. So since I don't know whoever is listening, I can't say I love you. I don't know you. And I'm not gonna try and build a parasocial relationship with people I don't know. I think that's weird. And I wouldn't say, like, it makes me uncomfortable anytime I watch a video on YouTube or listen to something, or, like, listen to a podcast or something like that, and the person who's creating it says, I love you, to their audience. That makes me feel weird, and it makes me very uncomfortable because it makes me feel like people don't know the definition of the word love. Because I don't think you can love someone you don't know, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people are capable of feeling that. I don't know for sure. We're all different, so who knows? But yeah, I think I keep getting off topic. The main point is that I would like to create like connections with folks who are interested in listening to my recordings. I just don't actually know how to do that. Because since I have never felt like I belong, I shouldn't say never, there have been very few cases and very few people with whom I feel like I do belong, I struggle with knowing how to create those connections. The older I get, the less I care what other people think, but I still care what other people think. On a broad scale, like the internet at large, I care what people think, and I wish I didn't, because I'm not gonna ever meet most people out there on the internet. So why should I care? But I do. Granted, that probably just makes me human. Also is probably a sign of my anxiety, but yeah. I guess I'm basically saying I don't know what I'm saying. other like what I could say is, please give me more engagement, but I don't think that would like fix any problems or make me feel like I belong. I already feel like I don't belong, and to be honest, I already know I don't really belong here. Because, like I said, I'm never going to get famous off of any of this. I'm never going to get, like, a ton of engagement. I know that. I'm not charismatic enough. I'm not interesting enough. I am aware of those facts. There was, like, I think there's a little part of me that, like, wonders why back in the day when I was on this message board, this fan community, why I felt like I belonged there, but I don't feel like I belong here. There's another place, Tumblr. Kind of forgot about Tumblr. For a while on Tumblr, I really felt like I belonged and had a community there too. But that kind of fell apart because Tumblr, while I still like Tumblr the best out of all social medias, because it is the least social media, while I still really like it, it has changed a lot and there's less community there, in my opinion. But anyway, can't believe I forgot about it. But yeah, like, part of me is like, man, I felt community then. How do I recapture that? And I don't necessarily know that I can, because I think despite the fact that our world is so much more connected now than it was when I was younger, I think there are also a lot more fractures, and we are all a lot more we are all a lot more solitary while struggling to find community, if that makes any sense. I think we all want more community, but we don't know how to get it because our societies, and I'm saying societies because, I think every various places have slightly different societies, for example. Like, I don't think American society is the same as Canadian society, for example. But, like, maybe similar, just not the same. But, I think our societies have become more fractured and less community focused. And I do think a lot of us are trying to recapture that sense of community, but we just don't know how, because we lack the skills. We lack, yeah, like, we just need a way to do it, and we don't know how. So I don't know. I have no solutions. This is just me rambling about stuff. So hooray for me rambling about stuff, I guess. Oh, yeah. So I would like if we could consider ourselves a community somehow. Anyone who happens to be listening to this. But I am also aware that I am not charismatic and not good at building communities. But if you would like to consider yourself a part of whatever the heck community I am even talking about, because I don't want to force anyone to do anything. But if you want to consider yourself a part of a community with me, great, awesome. That's cool. This has been my Ria Com, talking about rarely feeling like I belong, and wanting community, but not knowing how to get it. And I will try and do some pop culture stuff, even though it seems like no one has engaged with the pop culture thing I was talking about recently. But that's fine. I will try and do some pop culture stuff soon. And yeah, I will try and chat at you again soon. Bye.